Hi, everyone. My name is Xavier. I am your generalist for Tampa Bay. And essentially, I just work and respond from the Tampa Bay onboarding email. I set up all the action items and essentially answer any questions that you all have if you Slack me directly. But I want to talk a little bit about good standing and what it means for you all. So, essentially, the biggest thing about being in our program is that we want to ensure that not only you're meeting the bar for students, but you're also meeting the bar for what it means to be an amazing educational leader in your community. And part of that is ensuring that you are in good standing with our organization, given the requirements that we set. So, good standing helps us confirm that you're essentially completing everything that you need to do in order to be set up to be a successful core member. A few reasons why this is important. One, to be really practical, it ensures that you're on track to join the 2025 core. It practically tracks uh, all the action items that are required. If you're being in communication with us and responsive, which is important. And then lastly, it'll just provide insight into how you can prioritize your time if there are missing action items that you haven't completed yet or where you have questions. And we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of what that looks like soon. However, uh, on the other side, good standing is important because it's how you get your money. And each of you is slated to get $4,500 at a baseline across the board for your transitional stipend. However, if you are a Pell Grant recipient, you were one in the past, you also receive an additional $3,000, meaning you would receive a total of $7,500. Nonetheless, everyone would receive their baseline stipend of $4,500 by the deadline set in this rubric. So essentially, that money is supposed to be used to fund your move to Tampa Bay if you're not from the region. So being in good standing essentially ensures that your timeline to receive your money is not delayed. So there are a few things that are still up in the air. We don't have specifics yet because we were waiting on our school district partner who hosts us for our summer training or in-person training program to confirm the start of in-person practicum dates. And they haven't done so by today, March 12th. Therefore, a lot is still up in limbo. However, we should be receiving that information by end of week, and I will follow up via email to share this information with you all and also on our Slack channel. So, in essence, whenever we do get that information, you will receive an email with that good standing rubric. We'll preview that in the next slide. I put an X on the date because I'm anticipating Friday. If it gets delayed, it'll be the following Friday. What is true is that everyone will receive a promissory note with your financial details on April 8th. This will be sent to your TFA email address. This will denote everything that you're receiving money wise, and it will ensure that you have your note signed prior to dispersal in May. In between now and May, you'll have access to what we call progress monitoring. There is a tracker that is in the works that I'm creating for you all to access, and it'll show you what you've completed, what you haven't completed, and if you're in good standing or not. This is separate from One App because One App has all of your action items listed in there. Whereas in good standing, there are certain requirements that are extremely high priority that need to be completed that are tracked here. That also includes some AmeriCorps items as well. Now, lastly, it says May 23rd here. That is not the right date, but we are looking for a dispersal timeline based off of the information that our partners for our in-person training site share with us. And based on that date, you will receive a final dispersal date, which should be 3 weeks before you're expected to move to the region. If you have questions about good standing, Vanessa, Katie, and Chris will take note as to what those questions are, share them with me, or you can just Slack me directly or email Tampa Bay onboarding at teachforamerica.org. Now, the preview of the rubric I'm putting on the slide is exactly what you'll receive in email once we receive the information from our partners. Now, what you'll see here is that there are a lot of comments because we're waiting for a lot of things to be finalized, which is why I'm not sharing this document directly with you all. However, What I do think is important in reviewing this rubric is that this rubric should delineate everything you need in order to understand how to be in good standing with us. So, all to say, there are a few requirement areas that need to be completed. The first is that you have completed the module for understanding your financial transition into the core. That's number one. If you miss that, you're not in good standing. Uh, when it comes to engagement and certification and testing, you have to fulfill at least one or all of these requirements. Now, you have to register for your subject area exam. That's for everybody. Depending on the deadline that you enter, you should have taken at least one attempt of your subject area exam. And you should have activated the study.com account provided to you so you can study. Those are the three things that we require. Now, there are a few folks who have their test waived because they have what we call in-field certification due to their degree, major, and undergrad or their master's. I've already reached out to those folks directly to share that I suspect that they either qualify and or confirm that with them. If you did not receive direct outreach, I did not note that you have anything that qualifies you for a waiver. However, if you want to appeal that, if you just want to like a second eye on that, feel free to email me or Slack me. I do this based off of the Florida Department of Education's website and also based on your transcript and your majors and the courses that you have taken. But ultimately, our school district partners are the ones to confirm whether you are eligible or not for a waiver. More information can be found on the certification guide, but do note that everything must be uploaded to the One App if you're trying to share proof of registration and attempts made. The other thing coming up down the pipeline in May is engagement and hiring. So ensure that your resume has been submitted and ensure that you submitted an official degree conferred transcript if you graduated by December of 2024. This is an action item that will be uploaded as well. The key thing is that both go hand in hand. So how do I confirm that folks have a waiver, meaning they don't need to test? Because they've sent me an official degree conferred transcript. So if you haven't done one but are expecting the other, I can't get anywhere without that transcript. Ultimately, there's more information in hiring and placement policies in our certification, or in our hiring guide, I should say, linked here. And then finally, we do expect that you are engaged in our key platforms. So be active in Slack, meaning accept the invite, complete any required action items in One App, and then accessing your TFA core inbox. There are a few folks who have not logged into One App at all. And that could be either because of tech challenges and or just other priorities in life, we understand. However, we do want to start acclimating you to these systems as soon as possible, given that from now until training, things are going to fly. Especially if you're completing a program like undergrad or your master's, or if you're preparing to transition from a different career, it gets really hectic. So being in communication with us is really key here, which is why these platforms are important. That is the majority of what I wanted to share with you all for good standing. If you do have questions, feel free to email me at tampabayonboarding@teachamerica.org or Slack me directly. However, if you have any questions, feel free to voice them in whole group. No guarantee that we will know the answers, but we will definitely loop back with you in a... So appreciate you all. And I'll pass it back to our facilitators.